Hey, what's up, everybody? Scott Spreitzer here. Raphael Esparza, Griffin Murphy. We're DocSports.com's In the Paint. Final show of the college basketball season, guys, because next week at this time we will have crowned a national champion. And, of course, the folks can find all of our videos, yours, Raphael, yours, Griffin, mine, over on the DocSports.com's YouTube page if you're looking for what we think each and every night leading right up to the championship game and the other sports, baseball underway, of course, NBA coming down the stretch drive. So a lot going on over at DocSports.com. You can check it all out. And last time we could say this on the show, if you're not yet a member of the Doc Sports Club over there, a member, you can click on that link below the video, get yourself set up for a free $60 account, and then use those free $60 on any of our daily packages over on the site. First of all, a couple of quick announcements. I said no to Ralph Lauren polo because I didn't want Raphael to make fun of me again, and I wanted to show that I had more than Ralph Lauren shirts in my closet. However, I do have enough Ralph Lauren polo shirts to at least afford 3 or 4 Yugos, just letting you guys know. Other than that, I got to make a quick announcement, guys. This will be my final show at Docs. I'm moving the family over to Macau, which is basically the Las Vegas of the Far East. Something that I've been wanting to do for many, many years and finally got an opportunity to do so. So we're going to spend we're going to give it about a 3 to 5 year run in Macau with some business opportunities. And I've been boating up on my Mandarin and all that kind of stuff. So I just want to tell everybody it's been great. I can't complain about 1 minute of my 7 years. And only Wade knew about this, but he told me I could announce it today. So that's where we stand. No one knows it's April Fool's Day? Come on.
Oh, my God, dude. I literally just, I was, what the hell, dude?
I love it.
I didn't even know what to do. Oh,
Raphael's
my God.
Going, oh, how about that? Griffin's going like, what the?
That's your goal. I know that's your goal.
I
think when your kid graduates, I think you're not going to be in Vegas anymore. Me and you've had this discussion many times, but I knew it wasn't today. I just knew it.
Yeah. Well, I was waiting for an April. I mean, nobody caught on. Wow.
I wasn't even close. I was completely off. No.
You guys got to spend less time crunching numbers. You know what I mean? You're so wound up in crunching the numbers here, man.
We just got off the phone 2 minutes ago. I was like, hold on a second. What the hell just happened here?
Anyway, guys, so we do have a few things to talk about. And I do want to, Raphael, I don't know if you still do. You kind of texted me earlier today and said you might have some thoughts on that Chattanooga, Louisiana, Chicago game. We're doing the show live, so that's still to go tonight in the NIT. Loyola laying 2.5, 146.5. It was a complete pass for me, but do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think the betting public, it's 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. There's already a 3 popped up. So if you like Chattanooga, which I was leaning towards it, I'm going to wait to see how many points I can get on the mocks on this one. So like I said, there's a 3 that already popped up over at Caesar. So normally we see one book move a number and everyone just copies and pastes. So hopefully that's a trend. So we have a 9:30 tip off that can maybe get a 3.5 post up, or I'll just wait for live betting. But I think the mocks are a live play tonight. And I'm just weird that NIT games are not at the Madison Square Garden. Hinkle Fieldhouse, give me a break. Go back to the Garden.
Yeah, back to the Garden, man. I hate the fact that Hinkle Fieldhouse is a blast. Indianapolis is a pretty cool town. Been there a couple of times, but nothing against it at all. But MSG is where the NIT is supposed to be. And I'm not trying to rhyme here, but it's just coming out that way. Griffin, any thoughts on tonight, or are we going to head to Wednesday stuff?
I've got a couple. Actually, I have action on that game, and I have action on another game in the NIT. So I don't necessarily want to dig too deep. We can for sure if you guys want me to. Totally on you, Scott.
Perfectly okay. I'm completely passing the game tonight, so I had nothing on it, but I knew Raphael had some thoughts. Oh, 7-unit. Well, folks, you've still got time then because the game doesn't tip off. It's about 6:15 p.m. Eastern. You got a couple of hours before it tips off, so definitely check that out on Griffin's homepage over at DocSports.com. We're going to get to the Final Four in just a bit, but there is college basketball action on Wednesday right here in Sin City, the Crown Tourney. And there's 2 games going on Wednesday in Vegas. You got Boise and Butler doing battle, Nebraska facing Georgetown. I have found in the last couple of hours, Raphael, you texted me and said Circa, if you're in Southern Nevada, was taking action. I got on the horn, talked to Chris Andrews at South Point. Anybody in Southern Nevada, if you'd like to know where you can jump on this, South Point, the limits are $3,000 per side, $3,000, 3 dimes per side, but they are taking action up to $3,000 per side. at the South Point. Explain what happened, and all these books that are not offshore were, just taking it down and not playing the Crown, Raphael.
I'll explain it perfectly. U.S. books are idiots. If you're going to complain about people logging on to global books and making action, then you're going to just serve them what they want. Because why would you not take this? Yes, I know it's not an NCAA sanctioned tournament. This is the Crown tournament. I know that the college and the NCAA has nothing to do with it. But really, it's still a college basketball game. Yeah, they're playing for $500K. Yes, it's probably for NIL money, to use that money that they're playing for. Just because it's not an NCAA sanctioned, Kentucky, Illinois, I just found out New Jersey right now has no action on this. So there's other 3 states. I can guarantee you there's more states that cannot play action on this. And I'm just tired of U.S. books with their litigation and their red tape. I remember when the U.S. finally got sports betting, and everyone, and even our boss, was telling me, oh, I know you do stuff for offshore. We're probably going to either have to tell you can't do it because all the offshore books are going to close. The offshore books are thriving. You see Bet Online and boxing rings and UFC and MMA stuff. You see stuff like, it's not going anywhere. And this is the reason why, because U.S. books put so many stupid sanctions on what we can bet on. Everybody should read about the Safe Bet Act. Google it, read about it, because I can guarantee you next year we probably won't be able to bet college football player prop bets. We probably won't be able to do a lot of other stuff here in the States. It's because of the litigation that these U.S. books put on us.
It's crazy. I won't name the book because I do like the current director at this particular book, and he took over for the previous director a couple years ago, and we're friends. So I'm not going to rip his book now because it is much better, and they don't deserve bad press now. They deserved a bad press a few years ago. There was a certain book here in town, we're talking a decade ago, and it was before we had a lot of apps, so you're running around, you have to do brick and mortar, all that kind of stuff. And there's a book that I was going to, listen to this, guys. I was only betting $800 on underdogs in baseball and to win $800 on favorites. That's it. This wasn't like, 25 dimes per game in baseball. I had about a 3-week run where I couldn't lose. It was ridiculous. It was like, I don't know, 31-9 or something like that, cleaning up. And I walk into the book to plunk my money down the next day, and the ticket writer goes, "Hey, Scott," he goes, "I'm sorry, man, but I can't give you that." Yeah. What? And I'm like, $800? I'm like, you kidding? And he goes, and so anyway, he goes, I go, "Can I talk to your supervisor?" No offense to the ticket writer. He's just doing what he's told. Supervisor comes out and he goes, "Well, I have to cut your limits." I'm like, "Really?" I go, you're joking, right? I mean, I had to look and see if it was April 1st, back then. and he goes, "Well, we can't go over 300. And I went, "Goodbye," left, went to another book, included, I did this in the NBA playoffs several years ago, wouldn't take my action. I landed over at Jay Kornegay's shop at the Westgate, and they took the action for the NBA playoff game that they were refusing in another book. So you're right, Raphael. It's frustrating. It's crazy. But the circa, Derek Stevens, all about give the people what they want. And I know they're taking action. And again, like I said, Chris Andrews over at the South Point also, they're taking some action on this. And having said all of that, let's talk about the games on a Wednesday. We do have Boise laying 6.5 over Butler. That's Wednesday's early game in the Crown, total about 155 or thereabouts. I talked about Boise on a show the other day and mentioned they're in it to win it. They reportedly turned down an NIT bid to play in the Crown to give them more time to prep and to try to win a tournament. They know all about, staying away from the issues in Las Vegas. They're here every year in the regular season. They're here every year for the Mountain West Conference tourney. So they know what they've got to do when they're in the city of Las Vegas. I do believe it's an advantage. They had a big win the other night, big second half. Guys, I like them here laying the points over Butler. Your thoughts, Raphael or Griffin? Jump in.
I'll jump in. I agree with you. I agree with you on that one, just because this number opened up at 5.5, and I thought it should have opened up at 6.5. Where you nailed it. Boise State's familiarized on this one, and betting playing at MGM as the Pac-12 teams. It's a high scoring floor. I don't know why the ball goes in. Every time the Pac-12 had their tournament here, every game was going over the total. Even the Oregon State Beaver games were going over the total. If you don't remember them back in the Pac-12 when they used to play 36-point games. But I don't know. It's just the way this stadium works. Boise State put up a big lopsided number in their last game, especially a strong second half. I would say grab the 6.5 now, because it wouldn't shock me if we see 7 by tomorrow.
Griffin?
Yeah, so this is definitely a weird situation, obviously, because you got players in the transfer portal, you got players going to the pro draft, and this one only for Butler Telford, he's going to the pro draft. In my eyes, this is a coaching game. Leon Rice, 8 postseason appearances, and this is all about now winning the big game. Boise State, they've been tough, Scott. I mean, you guys just talked about it all season long. They defend hard, they press hard, they crash the boards well. They do everything good as a team. They're pesky. Butler, on the other hand, they struggle on the offensive side. The biggest thing for them is they dominate with the three-point shot. So the only way I see Butler sustaining in this game is if they can hit that three-point shot consistently, and that's hitting 40%. I just don't see it happening. I'm with you guys on this one. I lean Boise State here, and I'm laying the 6.5 points on a lean.
Let me ask you about this one, Griffin. We'll start with you. Nebraska laying 7.5 to Georgetown, also here in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand Garden. Total right around 153. I had Arizona State the other night, and they ended up about a bucket shy. And after that closing line, got up to like 6.5, whatever it was. And they looked like they were just going to cruise. I mean, they're up 10 points with about 13, 14 minutes to go. And then Bryce Williams goes off. He goes nuts. He scores a ton of points in that game. And if you look, Nebraska scored 33 points over the final 10 minutes. You spread that out over 40 minutes, that's 132 points. They think they're Loyola Marymount or something like that from the early 90s. But this particular game, laying 7.5. What are your thoughts on this one, Griffin?
Yeah, Scott, you know what? This game is a very interesting matchup for me, and I love it. This Nebraska team, they came out flat against ASU. ASU throttled them. They were beating them by 11 points at one time during that game. Second half, Fred Hoiberg got his boys rolling, Scott. This team, they ended up, my biggest take that I got from this game when I was watching it was points in the paint and fast breaks, and that was where Nebraska started cruising in the second half. Georgetown, they're no sleeper. They've played everybody competitive this season. And I mean everybody. When we're talking Big Ten, SEC, whoever they've played everybody who's worth talking about in that situation. Very tough. They're a pesky team. The problem with Georgetown is they do not rebound well. Nebraska does, and they crash the boards well. And on top of that, Georgia also moves at a very slow tempo. Well, against ASU in the second half, Nebraska didn't do that. But having said that, when you look at a number like this, 7.5 points and a total sitting at 152.5, I don't think Nebraska's got it in them to cover this game by 7.5 points. If this was closer to 5.5, maybe 4.5, yes, I'd be on Nebraska, but I do think the Hoyas come in here and cover because they are defensively very good. They are talented on the defensive side, Scott. So I'm going to back the Hoyas in this game as I lean that way with the points at 7.5. I think the market's off on this number.
Raphael?
Almighty Circa has 8 right now in this game, so
Wow.
yeah, I think it trends, and then that one offshore book also has 8. And I agree. One thing that kind of shocked me, wow, Georgetown put 80 points up again. Playing at MGM Arena, anybody can put up a high number. If the Hoyas can put up 80 plus points in their last game, which I was leaning towards Washington State, I'm glad I didn't pull the trigger on that game because I had a big fat L. But yeah, I was a little bit shocked. I agree with Griffin. I think if you're gonna play this game, wait to see how high you can get Georgetown and take the plus points. I think it's way out. I made this number like around 6.5. So getting 8 or even 7.5, I think it's a good play.
Off to the Final Four this weekend, guys. And I'm one of those guys who wants to see the best. I don't care about Cinderella.
Right.
I love to see the greatest talent and the deepest talent get to the Final Four. And I'm like that with every sport. I don't want to see, college football. Remember a couple of years ago, we got Cinderella TCU. We all turned it off at the end of the first quarter.
Duggan.
On Georgia,
Yeah.
right? I was actually in Utah. I was in Cedar City, Utah for our wintertime hiking trip with my kid. And I was like, well, I got to watch the game. And I go, it'll probably be a blowout. We left the hotel at 10 minutes to go in the second quarter. And I was smiling from ear to ear. I don't want to see Cinderella. So we got what we want. And I got to read something here, guys, some notes. So I make sure to get this right. According to Isaac Trotter, Ken Palm's 6 highest rated college basketball teams over the last decade include all 4 teams from this year's Final Four. Duke and Houston, well, they're number 1 and number 2 over the last decade. Florida and Auburn are 5th and 6th. Only UConn from last year and Gonzaga from 2021 are in this mix. 4 teams in the same year over the past decade as far as your highest rated 6 teams in college basketball. And if you check out the net ratings, you'll see how incredible it is this year. It's also the first time in the history of the Big Dance that favorites went 12-0 straight up in the Sweet 16 and also the Elite Eight. And from the round of 64 through the Elite Eight, underdogs won just 12 games straight up, which is the fewest ever in the Big Dance. So, Raphael, having said that, we have Duke laying 5 to Houston, the total right around 136.5. Of course, the early game, we got Florida laying 2.5 over Auburn, total 160.5. Let's kick things off with Auburn and Florida. I know Griffin and I both had Florida to win this thing last time we talked about 3 weeks ago, so we still got a shot. What are your thoughts on this one?
It's a shock because I had Houston on that show that we said I have the
right.
defense winning that game, so we all have our shot.
On
And
a
I'm
roll.
going to look at a book point of view. The books are rooting for Auburn. They make the most money if Auburn cuts down the net. The books have been getting hammered during March Madness. They get some money back last week, but March Madness so far has been like the NFL draft compared to bookmakers. The NFL draft, everyone knows it's customer service day for the books because they never win when it comes to NFL draft. They just take their losses and hope those people rebet on baseball and football coming up. Lean towards, if you like the Dukies, which I think they're probably going to be the heaviest bet them now, because I can guarantee you everyone knows Cooper Flagg's name. Everyone knows Duke. Everyone knows about that. It's going to be higher. There's a 5.5 already at Caesars. I would not be shocked if we see 6.5 or maybe even a 7 on this game. And I'm actually kind of shocked that this total is 136.5. I thought it'd be closer to 140. I know Houston's defense, and I've been saying Houston wins because of defense, but their offense is no joke. They blew out their last game, and they still scored in the 60s. So this is going to be very interesting on who controls the tempo. If Duke controls the tempo off the get-go, then Houston's going to need to put 70 points up if they want to hang around. Because I'm sorry, Duke's defense is really good, but their offense is really, 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 really good. So I'm really tempted on this one. I have no play on this one. I don't know if I'm going to have any plays on the Final Four, because I'll tell you right now, we've been doing spreadsheets and we have to turn them in on what we do. You know what I am right now in college basketball so far for this year? Even, 0. Do I really want to roll the dice? I can say, hey,
Yeah.
even for basketball season. Yeah. So
2 each-star plays on Saturday, 1 more on Monday. Come on, Raphael.
I didn't have a losing season.
Griffin, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Scott, this is a really interesting game for me. I mean, we just saw Kelvin Sampson absolutely outcoach the hell out of Rick Barnes. We got another game, kind of similar situation. The biggest thing is going to be, can Houston shut down Cooper Flagg? I mean, Cooper Flagg's been sensational all season long. And I mean, this guy isn't a one-man team. I mean, Duke is deep on top of that. The thing that you really got to look at is the trend is your friend. Houston's won 17 games in a row, and they've been an unstoppable force all season long. We continuously talk about how well their defense has played. I mean, this is the type of game in my eyes where when you look at that number, you can't dodge that bullet of 17 consecutive wins and you're getting 5.5 points. I mean, this is a game where I look at it and it just dumbfounds me. It confuses me in a lot of situations. I think the public wins this game. I think the public is going to be all over Houston in this matchup, as they should be. And I think they're going to cover this game. I think the public's going to feed off of this matchup because this line is so weird for me. That's like, you've won 17 games in a row and you've been absolutely flawless in the making of doing it. You got Kelvin Sampson backing you up. You know he struggles to win the big game. Well, he just outshowed Rick Barnes, absolutely dominated him, made him look like an idiot in his most recent game. So it blows my mind, this number. I'm on Houston. Give me the 5.5 points. I'm with the public on this one, Scott.
This is a tough one for me because I had a 6-star last Friday on Duke and had a 7-star on Houston in their game against Tennessee. And I had that one thought going into that Houston tip-off against Tennessee that, boy, Tennessee is seemingly more and more like a public dog. And I was thinking, I like that. Didn't think Houston would just come out and blow them off the floor. I mean, let's be honest and candid. I didn't think it'd be that easy, but I did like them. Here's how historic the season is. Duke's net rating is 39.62. That's 3 points higher than Houston, the next best team. But Houston is dead even with UConn's net rating from last year when UConn won it all, which shows you how good these teams are. And how about the fact that Duke's net rating is 10 points higher than the best team in 2023? I mean, this is such a historic season, what we're watching right now in college basketball. I love it. I love seeing the talent and the cream rise to the top. I'm gonna lean Duke, guys. I do have a play in the other game, but I'm gonna lean Duke as an opinion for the show here. By all means, I don't want to make a living off the difference between these two teams, but I'll go with Duke for the show. The other game, of course, is Auburn and Florida, Griffin. And, Auburn can commit too many personal fouls at times, and I'm splitting hairs when I'm looking for weaknesses. Florida's been in a pair of close calls. Maybe they should have lost to UConn. Yeah. They probably should have lost to Texas Tech. In fact, it was funny. I was texting with a buddy of mine, another bettor here in Vegas, and I'm like, damn it, where's my choke emoji? I want to post something on Twitter talking about Texas Tech. And in that next iteration of smartphones, I want the inventor, whoever's out there to do this, to give us a choke emoji for those of us who are betting these games, because we sure don't have one. But that's what Texas Tech did, and you give Florida credit for coming through. But what are your thoughts on this one with Florida laying a few points, a couple of points here, 2.5 at last check?
We got the Todd Golden, Bruce Pearl show here, Scott. And this game is going to be critical when it comes to rebounds and fast breaks. And that's where it was key against Texas Tech for Florida in the most recent matchup. Auburn, they're full of a bunch of 7-foot-tall guys that are 24 years old, all seniors. They just throttled through Michigan State. That game looked like a blowout. Tom Izzo takes his team into the second half, and he literally lights them a torch. And they come back out firing in that second half. They played really good basketball. But to me, right now, the way that Auburn played Michigan State, I lean Auburn. And then I look at the way that Florida played Texas Tech, and I still lean Auburn. But my team all season long has been Florida, who I thought was going to win it all. So this is a very weird matchup for me by all means. I don't necessarily like a side in this game, but if you were to put a gun to my head and tell me take a team right now, I have to lean on Auburn in this matchup, Scott. I just think Auburn's the better team, and they've kind of proved it all season long. Florida caught a lot of public attention just because of the momentum that they gained. They just gained traction and popped off and really started playing great basketball under Todd Golden. But Auburn, they got super hot, then they slowed down. Now they're super hot again. And I'm riding the super hot again. So I'm with Auburn in this one, Scott.
All righty. Totals. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Say that again.
Soft lean. Just
soft lean. Okay. Like me with Duke on the other game. Soft lean.
Right.
My premium play is the Auburn Florida totals. So that'll be available on Saturday morning over at DocSports.com. Raphael, your thoughts on this one?
For me, I'm looking for a middle spot because I have the field to win it, to cut it down over SEC. So if I'm gonna get a good plus money, I have to root for Auburn on this spot, because if it's Auburn and Duke is going to be I don't want to say a heavy favorite, but probably anywhere between 5 or 6 point favorite over Auburn. So that if I can get a nice plus money on my middle against Auburn, because something like that. So I think Auburn wins. I think Griffin has it. They're playing better team, and I thought Florida should have been out a couple games ago. They've struggled the last 2 games. I think Auburn, they had their struggles, but they really knew how to clamp it down in the last 2 to 3 minutes and put games away. So I think the Auburn right now is the hotter team. The only thing, Boone, how healthy is he? He tweaked a little bit on his back and all that. He did come back, but I mean, when you don't play and you're sitting around and stuff like that, that's a tighten up. So I'm going to be a little curious on that, but I think Auburn's probably the player. I'm just happy in SEC. One of the SEC teams is losing that game.
They did the best conference. I had to pull up this. I was looking down here. I had to pull up this this parlay at the Hard Rock.
Yes,
on my phone here. Did you see that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a $5 parlay that'll pay $168,300 if Duke wins the national title. Just
no kidding.
And here's what it is. It's
all futures.
Yeah, this guy had the Tennessee Volunteers to win the College World Series plus 650, the Dodgers to win last year's World Series plus 300, Ohio State plus 450 to win the College Football Championship. He had the Eagles to win the Super Bowl at plus 1,600.
What the?
He's got Duke at plus 1,100.
We got to hire this kid. Yeah,
What's
are you kidding me? We got to hire this guy.
Yeah, man, I'll take it. I don't play parlays, but a $5 bet to win 168,000, I can dig it. I can dig it.
The Hard Rock Florida told me he middle or hedged off a little bit last week.
Oh, did he? Okay, I was going to say you have to figure out a way to hedge, because for a $5 bet, you got to talk about hedging on a $1.68 return, man. There's no doubt about it. You can't just ride that out.
Yeah, you got to pull a quarter.
Anyway, guys, listen, it's been a blast doing this college basketball show with you guys. I'm looking forward to doing more throughout the course of the summer with you guys and into next year, whether it be football basketball, whatever we land on. But listen, everybody, we're not going anywhere. I mean, I'm not going to Macau.
Hey, wait. I'm gonna throw out
Scott's not really leaving. Scott's not really leaving.
I gotta throw out my last college basketball free play, because you know what time it is, guys. It's prop time. I'm throwing out a college basketball prop, baby. Give me Houston Duke, both teams to score over 63.5 points. I already mentioned, if Houston wants to win this game, they're going to have to keep up with Duke's offense, which Duke can put up. We've seen them put up a century in the NCAA tournament. Houston has hit this number in 9 out of 10 games. Duke has hit this number 37 out of 38 games this year alone. I just think we're going to see a little bit more high power offense than people think Houston could produce. 63.5 is a pretty much low number. And we saw Houston hit this number with ease their last game. So I'm going to take this. It's only $1.03.
Good stuff. And by the way, folks, I wanted to mention that our Final Four plays, the handicappers who are brave enough to jump in, Raphael, just kidding. But the handicappers who are jumping in, our plays will be available on Saturday morning, which is kind of a cool thing. I mean, I know people want them out of the blocks and all that kind of stuff, but this way you can get it on Saturday and you're not seeing a play that was given out 4 days earlier and the line has moved a point or the total's moved a point or whatever, and you got to wonder, does the capper still like the game? So you can get ours on Saturday morning. Griffin, any final thoughts before we call it a day?
No final thoughts, man. It's been a hell of a March, hell of a season. College basketball, definitely sad. It's like that bittersweet moment. You made it all the way to the Final Four. It's the time you've been waiting for, but at the end, it's like, well, this is going to be gone. And then we're like, oh, man. But it's been a hell of a show, hell of a run. Couldn't have had more fun with Scott, Ralph. You guys, you always a blast every single week, in, out, week in, week out. But yeah, no, those are my final words, man. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it very much.
And again, if you're watching this live or before the late game on Tuesday at NIT, go check out Griffin's 7-star on his homepage over at docsports.com. All right, for all three of us and for Michelle, our producer, it's been real, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. We are DocSports.com's In the Paint. Let's put them in the win column one final time.